This is Sergeant Chris Richardson with the Tennessee Highway Patrol here to explain the Tennessee Hands-Free Law, which is a new state law effective July 1st, 2019. In Public Chapter 412, it makes it illegal for a driver to hold a cell phone or a mobile device with any part of their body, to write, send, or read any text-based communication, to reach for a cell phone or a mobile device in a manner that requires the driver to no longer be in a seated driving position or properly restrained by a seatbelt, to watch a video or a movie on a cell phone or a mobile device, and to record or broadcast video on a cell phone or a mobile device. So, can I still talk on my cell phone while driving? Yes. A driver is permitted to use an earpiece, headphone device, or a device worn on a wrist to conduct a voice-based communication. The driver may use one button on a cell phone or a mobile device to initiate or terminate voice communication, and voice-based communication may also be used to send a text message. Learn more at handsfreetn.com.
CJ Used Appliances, located at 3530 Jackson Avenue here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-487-7882. CJ Used Appliances has the best prices in town. Sales and service, heating and air. Also the best appliances you'll find anywhere in the Mid-South. Refrigerators, microwave stoves, washers and dryers, deep freezers, dishwashers, whatever you need in used appliances. And folks will say they're the best used appliances anywhere you'll find. That's CJ Used Appliances, 3530 Jackson Avenue. All appliances come with warranty. You can call them at 901-487-7882. Again, 901-487-7882. CJ Used Appliances.
Graphic Printing, located at 8090 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all: color copy, resume, funeral programs, rubber stamp, full color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30 plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. Graphics Printing.
This is Sergeant Chris Richardson with the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Pedestrian safety is a two-way street. Both drivers and walkers need to do their part to keep roads safe. When you're walking, remember, the drivers may not always see you, so remember to use these tips to continue to walk safely. Wear bright clothes. Always use crosswalks and obey signs. Lights and reflectors should be used. And finally, keep alert and do not walk distracted. This message brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Patrol.
C&S Motors Auto Sales, located at 2508 Sun Avenue, here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-323-8778. C&S Motors Auto Sales has been around since 1984. Go by and see Chris today. Some of the best pre-owned and used vehicles in the city. They have SUVs, minivans, cars, trucks, whatever you're looking for in pre-owned used vehicles. Hey, you can find it right there at C&S Motors Auto Sales. See Chris since 1984. They will treat you right. Call them at 901-323-8778. That's 901-323-8778. 2508 Summer Avenue, C&S Motors Auto Sales.
Graphic Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all: color copy, resume, funeral programs, rubber stamp, full color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30 plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. Graphics Printing.
This is Sergeant Chris Richardson with the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Pedestrian safety.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you with it? Yeah, we with it. Let's go, let's go, let's get it, let's get it. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you with it? Yeah, we with it. Big time players make big time plays. 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 Go hard, 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 go hard. 'Cause big time players make big time plays. Big time players make big time plays. Gotta get it in a big time way. Let's get it on the grind, head on the line. Gotta stay focused, gotta keep a sound mind. It's go hard or go home. Go long and go strong. Don't back down or give in. When it's tough, that's when we press on. Gotta dig deep, gotta dig in. Hunger for the victory, hunger for the win. Ready to make a play, let's get it in. Swag on point, yeah, swag on 10. It's go time, it's show time, it's my time in my town. Big time players make big time plays, but believe it's about to go down. Big time players make big time plays. 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 Go hard, 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 go hard. 'Cause big time players make plays.
And welcome to another live edition of Talkback Live Sports in the building right here on a Monday, a rainy, a cold, not freezing, but a cold Monday edition of the show. Man, I definitely appreciate y'all for watching, for tuning in, and for listening, wherever you may be, however you may be. I definitely appreciate the view. So, man, oh man, what a day today is, man. As you know, each and every week, I call Monday Recap Monday, because there's a lot of stuff to recap over this past weekend, starting with what happened last week, really, to end the week on a pretty crazy note. And I'm going to get to the phone in just a second here, but you can give us a call, 901-213-6020. Once again, 901-213-6020, and get the system all hooked up and ready to go. I call Monday Recap and make it where I cannot hear myself, so there we go. Now, we're good to go, man, ready to go. And if you are ready to call in and got some stuff to say, you can, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world of sports, man, especially locally, when talking about the Memphis Tigers and company, because the James Wiseman situation has taken over the sports world, not just locally, but nationally, as I've said as well. Forgive me for multitasking, just getting rid of a couple things there. But now we're good to go. And be sure you guys share this video if you get the opportunity to as well. And we can get this thing started right. So, a lot of y'all, if you heard me and Bob this morning on Talkback Live with Bob and Josh, you know, we talked a good bit about what I'm about to talk about right now. And that is the Memphis Tigers and James Wiseman situation. Now, I'm sure you guys by now have heard several different takes on what exactly is going on here. But I just want to things. And see Kevin Stevens coming in. Trey Draper, former Tiger, in the building. What's going on? He's been on the show as well. Linda Daniels in the building. I definitely appreciate that. So, here's some of the things I want to talk about. So with the James Wiseman situation, you all know what's going on by now. The NCAA ruled him ineligible the end of last week, right before the game against Central Illinois. Then the Tigers filed an injunction immediately with the local court to have a TRO, restraining order, and so on and so forth. Then, that is where the real situation begins. So now we know that Leslie Ballin Ballin, and Fishman are on the case for James Wiseman and his family. And basically what the NCAA is saying he is ineligible for is because of, one, some donations that Penny Hardaway gave to the university back in 2008, which is when Wiseman was a little boy, before he was even playing high school ball. And then because of the $11,000 that Penny helped with give his family, move to Memphis. So that's kind of what rolled into this situation. We kind of got it cracking, got it started, and it's just kind of spiraled from there to what we have right now. A lot of people are wondering, did the Tigers make the right decision to continue to play James Wiseman? Are the Tigers going about this the wrong way? Or, as some local pundits are saying, are the Memphis Tigers just flat out wrong in the entire situation? I know multiple people, including Gary Parrish, have put out there and said, look, the Tigers broke a rule. You just got to live with it. They did some things the wrong way, and they're going to have to kind of pay the penalty for it. Now, despite how we don't like the NCAA rule, that we're just going to have to live with it. Now, of course, that's not me saying that. That was Gary Parrish. And also, if you heard the audio we played this morning, I'm going to play it again for some of y'all that did not see it, because I know so many people that are out there that maybe were not able to watch this morning. But Jay Billis from ESPN made some pretty interesting comments that has kind of caused some controversy around here. Now, you know, Jay Billis has attacked the NCAA about the pathetic way that they handle things. But even though that, and even though he was against the NCAA in this instance, he put out some interesting things that I want to hear you guys' opinions on as well. So I'm going to play this clip for you. And once again, this is what we played this morning on Talkback Live with Bob and Josh. But in case you did not get to hear it or see it, I'll alleviate that for you right now. So take a watch and a listen to this, and we will be right back.
Welcome in ESPN college basketball analyst Jay Billis. He is live. He's also in Alaska. Jay, I'm not sure if this is an NCAA issue or something for Tennessee's High School Association. How do you read the situation here with Wiseman?
Oh, it's an NCAA issue. Garden variety eligibility case. An extra benefit was received from a booster. So the idea that Penny Hardaway later became the Memphis coach, it doesn't matter. The key issue here is that Memphis played James Wiseman when the NCAA said that he was ineligible. And there's an NCAA bylaw, 19.13, that says that if you run into a local court and get some sort of court order and rely upon that to play a player that is ineligible, and later on that TRO is vacated or otherwise dismissed, whatever it is, then there are all kinds of penalties that come your way. It's basically a threat from the NCAA saying, if we say he's ineligible, you better hold him out. And Memphis chose not to do that. Now, one of the remedies from 19.13, that NCAA bylaw, is the NCAA could declare Memphis ineligible this year for the NCAA tournament if it turns out they played an ineligible player in a game. I don't know if that remedy would be used, but that sanction is out there. It is highly unusual for an institution, after they get an eligibility ruling on the negative side, to play a player anyway. That's extraordinary. And I don't know if the NCAA is going to take this action, but if they decided to jump into federal court early next week, I don't think that TRO would hold up for very long at all, and we'd be back where we started. So then
do you see a best course of action here for what's next for the player and the school?
Well, I mean, the best course of action, the prudent thing to do, and what's usually done in this scenario, is the players held out of competition until the eligibility ruling is hashed out with the NCAA. Memphis chose not to do this. And, John, look, Memphis is on a roll right now. I mean, their football team's doing well. College Game Day was just there. They got the #1 recruiting class. Penny Hardaway's injected a whole bunch of energy back into that program. They don't want James Wiseman out. And, look, selfishly, I hope he plays on Tuesday night because I'm going to be there in the building in Portland to watch him. I want to watch him. And so does the rest of the free world. The only one that doesn't want him to play is the NCAA because of this issue. But this isn't about Memphis. If this happened anywhere in the country, the result would be the same. The player would be held out until the eligibility. This is $11,500 that was provided. I don't know if it's been paid back. If it has been, maybe Memphis will have an argument that he shouldn't be held out for very long. But I can't think of a scenario like this where the player wasn't declared ineligible for some period of time. So this is just a garden variety NCAA eligibility issue having to, a booster and an extra benefit. It's not some crazy thing the NCAA is doing here. The NCAA acted in this case like they do in every other. We may not like the rule, but that's the rule.
All right, Jay Billis, hopefully you get a good Memphis-Oregon game. Had a really good one there in Alaska night with Baylor and Washington. Thanks for your time, Jay.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
All right, that was some of what Jay Billis had to say about the situation. And if you guys got any thoughts, you can definitely call in 901-213-6020. And good afternoon to everybody coming in. I see you. I know Dominic was a big contributor this morning. Good afternoon, brother. Jet is building. Val watching as well. So definitely appreciate all of y'all. Also, a lot of y'all Memphis Tiger fans out there leaving quite a few comments as well. And I'm going to go back to that right now and see what else is there. So Pamela says, pathetic ruling. I agree. You know what? And what I didn't get about what Jay Billis was saying is the fact that, okay, the NCAA has already told Memphis about him being ineligible. And despite the restraining order, Memphis doesn't really have a leg to stand on. What doesn't make a lot of sense in that case is, let's go back a little bit. Remember the fact that this is not like this is something new. Wiseman was cleared by the NCAA because Memphis had already submitted all the facts of the case to the NCAA. That's to my knowledge. Had already put all that information in. And they ruled him eligible. You know, all this stuff is not like this is anything new. And then somebody or some entity or a group of people or something went to the NCAA and said, hey, you may need to take a special look at this. The NCAA looked at it again, and as I believe it was Dominic pointed out earlier, the specific verbiage from the new NCAA discussion when it comes to Wiseman was that essentially they saw something new and decided to say, "Hey, let's take another look at this situation and see if we need to make a change here." That's why we've made this change to rule him ineligible. So Memphis has come out and said, hey, look, we're standing behind Wiseman and his family. We're standing behind Penny Hardaway and the Tiger fans and everybody else. And Wiseman is going to play. Now, what's key, and this is what I did not get to read out this morning. And yes, Destin, he was cleared twice as well. Shout out to Destin coming in with that information. So here's what I've heard this morning. When it comes to the attorneys of James Wiseman, you know, Leslie Ballin and company, and Fishman. So, as I pull up the exact verbiage right here it is. James Wiseman's attorney said he believes if the restraining order is upheld on the 18th, that the Wiseman decision won't come until after the season is over. So essentially, again, the restraining order that they went to get before the last game, if that is held up on the 18th, which is the next time they come into court, and that's in 7 days, that the Wiseman decision will not come until after the season is over. Now, what I'm not clear about is, does that mean after the regular season and the postseason, being the NCAA tournament? Personally, I would hope it would be after is over, because you don't want to run into another situation like we've had in the past where, hey, you're ruled ineligible for the NCAA tournament and, you're kind of left flailing in the wind. No playoffs, no nothing, despite all the hard work that was put into the regular season. So personally, I wouldn't want that to be the case. So hopefully we will find out what that means. Also, I'm hearing here that the University of Memphis is going to sit Wiseman out those 9 games. And that Wiseman pushed back and sued the NCAA as well. Memphis has no choice but to ride with him. So I don't know, man. So open-ended situations here. Is a lot of things going to be left to interpretation until we actually get a ruling. But what I do know is that I don't anticipate the Tigers sitting Wiseman at all until there's a decision made on the 18th. And that means including the upcoming game against Oregon, which is going to be huge because that's really the Tigers' toughest opponent on the early part of the schedule. And you're going to, look, as talented as this team is, you're going to need Wiseman in a game like that. With Oregon and their length, they have a big man as well as a lot of really good recruits. In a game that's very important because this is the Phil Knight Classic in Portland. Phil Knight being Nike, as you know, so that is significant for that reason. But you guys, if you have any more thoughts on what's happening here, you can definitely give me a call, 901-213-6020. Thank you, Destin, for that like on the watch party. But to me, as far as the Tigers go, this team, they seem to be pretty locked in despite all the distractions going on around them and within them and everything else. So hopefully that continues because the spotlight's just going to get bigger and bigger. Can you imagine when tomorrow comes and it's Tuesday against Oregon and you're talking about everything that's going on now to the national stage again, athletically, as football's already done so, and now Tuesday is going to be on ESPN, and what's going on, this is really just going to make for another incredible spectacle involving Memphis Tigers athletics. And I think you just have to attribute that to the athletic director. You have to attribute that to Tom Bowen and company for, sticking by these guys. Well, not Tom Bowen, but Larry Veach and M. David Rudd for continuing to put Memphis on the stage that a lot of people feel, including myself, feel they deserve to be on. So we'll see, man. I can't wait for the big game coming up this Tuesday. Also, a comment I didn't see here. Destin says, so how did they not know all these facts when they declared him eligible in May and August? I think those are great questions. You kind of have to ask the NCAA about that, but I think those are a great question to ask because who knows? It just doesn't make a ton of sense, man. So, as I said, we're going to see what happens, but this is going to be a major, major storyline in the nation for a while. I want to get to some other things here because I talked a lot about that this morning. But as I said before, I know it was a call that attempted to come in earlier. You can still hit me up if you can, 901-213-6020. So with that being said, I want to move on to football for a minute. Now, Mike Norvell is in a situation, and when I say that, it's not a bad thing. And I'm pretty sure most of y'all already know what the situation is. But if you don't, Mike Norvell, the Memphis Tigers, after being on the biggest stage they've ever been on, they had the bye week, thankfully, this past week, where everybody can decompress and calm down and get their wits about them heading into this next game coming up against the Houston Cougars. And that's a game that's, from what I saw, it's going to be 2:30 on ESPN2. So it's another nationally televised game for the Memphis Tigers football team. But as you know, what comes with success in college sports, especially on a 9-5 level, on the football level, is not only expectations, but rumors. Now, the rumor mill has already started to crank a little bit with Mike Norvell and other Power 5 positions, as the Tigers have reached their highest ranking in a long time. They are now number 18th in the nation. Even after the bye week, they moved up a couple spots to 18. So that was pretty major. But once again, you got 3 games left, and these are the 3 most important games of your season. You cannot afford to drop the ball. You cannot afford to not perform. You got to step up. You got to stay focused. And I think, as I said before, this off week contributed majorly to helping the Memphis Tigers. But in the way of distractions, here it is. The rumor mill, Arkansas, is open once again. Arkansas was the job that had a major interest in Mike Norvell previously, 2 years ago, when they hired Chad Morris down there for the Razorbacks. But it did not work out. This is the Morris's second season at Arkansas. He's already fired. His second season isn't even over yet, and he lost every single game against SEC competition, and that's not going to win you many friends. As you know, Chad Morris was the former coach of SMU football. Ironically, you see what SMU is doing since he left, but he got the Arkansas job, recruited well, but just couldn't win. They looked terrible. After the big loss to, I think it was Eastern Kentucky, something crazy, or Western Kentucky this weekend. Ironically, to a former quarterback of Arkansas, Ty Story. What's going on, Greg? I see you coming in. I see Rachel, Donnell, Verdell. What's going on, y'all? And some more people coming in. Y'all gonna hit me up when you get the opportunity. But with that being said, Arkansas is a mess. Arkansas is not an easy job. They have great facilities. They got a lot of money to spend. They spend a lot of money on that program. And you already hear the rumor mill winding up about Mike Norvell once again. He's in the middle of the national spotlight. College Game Day was here. He got all these interviews. They won the biggest game of his tenure as a Memphis Tiger on ABC national television game with the number one announcers crew calling the game and all that stuff. So Norvell's at the top of the mountain right now as far as his career at Memphis. But here is the danger. Something we've talked about on the show for a long time. When you're a coach in Norvell's position, you're going to get all these offers, right? But you need to think before you accept, because every job is not the right job. Every check is not a good check. I'm not saying it's going to bounce, because Arkansas has plenty of money. But what I mean is, let's say Norvell takes the Arkansas job. And some of y'all saw my Facebook post or my Twitter post from this weekend where I was talking about this. But let's say Norvell takes the Arkansas job. You're not going to win there for at least 2 years, at least. And depending on how you recruit and how you build your staff and how the players respond to you and how you respond to the pressure. Because you can't compare the pressure at Memphis to the pressure at an SEC franchise like Arkansas that has the history that they do. And they're sick of losing. They've been losing for a while now. They've run through a couple of coaches that have just not done the job. And they are impatient. Look what happened to Chad Morris. 2 years, It's 1.5 years, and he's gone. Just like Florida State and Willie Taggart. He's gone. They fired him quicker than they fired Chad Morris. 1.5 seasons. No success, you're out of here. Time to move on to the next. So what I'm saying is, as much as we talk about, well, Norvell's probably not going to be here or do this or do that, I don't think Norvell's going anywhere, especially not this year. And he would be an idiot if he did. I think he would be an idiot if he took the Arkansas job, because you have to think about it, as all I said before, I set it up. High expectations, not a good team, they don't know how to win. And think about this, you're in the SEC, and not only the SEC, you're in the SEC West. You're in the same division with Alabama. You're in the same division with LSU, and look what Ed Orgeron is doing with the Tigers over there, the Bayou Bengals. You're in the same division as Auburn. Need I say more? So let's think about it now. When has that hierarchy really been upset at any level? Last time I could think about was, ironically leading to my next point, when Hugh Freeze was the head coach of Ole Miss and had them rolling for a while before he got caught, lying. Lying and cheating and paying and phone calls to hookers. And ironically, Hugh Freeze goes down to the Christian University of Liberty. And I saw Liberty scored 63 points on somebody the other day, so they're doing really well. But I guarantee you, Hugh Freeze doesn't want to stay there. As a matter of fact, and the reason I kind of transitioned to Hugh Freeze a little bit is this. I think Hugh Freeze is going to end up being the head coach at Arkansas. Same division that he was at with Ole Miss. Same situation, of a middle of the road to bottom tier SEC program as Ole Miss was and as Arkansas currently is. And I just see the perfect situation for Hugh Freeze to get back into coaching and take on the job as Arkansas Razorbacks head coach. Plus, he looks like the type of guy that would just fit down there. You know what I'm saying? So don't be surprised if that ends up happening. I've already heard that he's a top candidate, as well as Mike Norvell. But when it comes to Norvell, don't do it. Don't do it, brother. Don't look at those red lights and that check with the hog on it and think, hey, I'm going to be high on the hog. No. You're going to be high on the hog for a minute. Look what they did with Chad Morris. They lifted him up, I saw the press conference the other day where they were doing the and all that with all the athletic directors. Now they couldn't run him off fast enough anymore. They ran him off with the Razorback pig chasing him down the street. They're sick of him. So, and I know Norvell has ties to Arkansas. He went to Central Arkansas University and played football there. He met his wife down there. So he knows the community very well, and they know him. But don't do it. Do not do it, man. Where else is Mike Norvell gonna have a situation where Memphis is at right now? You're at the top of your game. He's at the top of his coaching game and the top of his playing to the community game as well. Because those are two games. Two different games, and he's winning at both right now. Yeah, Memphis eating out of the palm of your hands. They will do whatever that you want them to do. The university, the people, the football team. You're ranked 18th in the country. Things are good right now. Don't mess that up for yourself. Reason I am harping on this, think back to Justin Fuente, my guy. Interviewed Justin Fuente many times on Talkback Live with Bob and Josh. Some of y'all remember. I remember the Monday after Memphis won their first share of the AAC. That was before they split in divisions and all that stuff. I remember, the trophy, and it wasn't an outright victory, but it was a share of the AAC title. And the confetti on the field, it was something Memphis fans never thought they would see. We talked to not Fuente right after that. Very honest guy, and I liked him as a coach, to be honest with you. But I truly think he didn't pick a good time to leave. Because things were getting better. Even though I know he was thinking Paxton Lynch is leaving, so I probably need to get out of here too. But you go to Virginia Tech, everything's cool for a year. But after a couple years, people start looking at Fuente sideways. And this year, they're not bad. But things can go from high to low and very quickly when you go to certain programs. Virginia Tech, after that long stretch of that coach that was there forever, Fuente was the next guy. So that means a lot of pressure is going to be on your shoulders to carry them to the next level. And to be fair, he hasn't really done that yet. I don't think it's because he's a bad coach, but you take the wrong job at the wrong time. Timing is everything. And I think Norvell needs to look at that and say, hey, look, this ain't the time. This ain't the time or the place to go hog hunting in Fayetteville. And to be honest with you, I know some of y'all saw when I made this post on Facebook this weekend about this, it said he would be a perfect fool. He left Memphis right now to go to Arkansas. I honestly think even going to Florida State, which is the other big open job right now, is not that smart. Now, it's a better situation because the conference is not nearly as tough as the SEC West or the SEC, even though you have, ironically, Virginia Tech's in that conference. You have Clemson, which is very good in that conference. But Clemson's really the powerhouse, and the ACC is not what it used to be. With Louisville, and most of those teams are middle of the road. So I can see Norvell doing a decent job at Florida State. But even there, look at what happened to Willie Taggart. Willie Taggart was high on the hog for his couple of years at South Florida. Did an outstanding job down there. Goes to Florida State, and then them hiring a black coach, even more shocking. In a good way, I was happy for the guy. And he gets fired in 1.5 years. Now, I know some people are crying foul, and he wasn't black, that he wouldn't have been fired so quickly. I don't think that's true, to be perfectly honest with you. And if it is, I'm one to point it out. But I don't think that was one of those cases with Willie Taggart. Willie Taggart disappointed me. You can't lose that badly all day, every day, and expect, them to just continue to. He showed no signs of life at all. None. And when you lose to a Miami team, that was not the Miami Hurricanes of back in the day. This is a Miami Hurricanes team that's trying to work their way up like Florida State is. And when I literally said, hey, he's not going to last. I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone. And that's what it is. You got to give some hope, man, just like the Tubby Smith thing. Defended Tubby Smith, I don't, all that stuff. But the thing is, hope. Recruit breeds hope. And if you don't recruit well, they're going to have a lot less patience with you. A.K.a. example, Penny Hardaway. His first year at Memphis wasn't outstanding. But when you bring in the number one recruiting class in the country coming next year, people are going to be, hey, we can deal with this for a year. We can deal with this for a year if we're going to get James Wiseman next year. So that's what ended up happening. So that's all I'm saying, man. Norvell does not need to rush to another Power 5 job. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't think he's looking to. I don't think he's looking to go nowhere. Everybody wants to tell Norvell, hey, you need to go. He's too good for Memphis. No. First of all, Memphis needs to quit with this inferiority complex crap. Memphis is great. The program now is great. To say he's too good for Memphis, what has he really done? He's done a great job at the program from Memphis' standards. But think about it. What has he won? Has he won an AAC title? How many ranked opponents have we beat besides SMU, which was an outstanding win? And an overrated UCLA program. So let's slow the brakes down. I don't even think he's as sought after as people think he is. Of course, Arkansas wants him. He's, from the area. He's shown to be good at Memphis. But I don't see people banging the door down other than Memphis fans talking about people banging Norvell's door down. It just is what it is. I think he needs to have a little bit more consistency like he's having this year. This year has been his best year as a coach on the field and off the field. Because when I started the season this year, Norvell has to show me more on the field. He's a good offensive mind, but in situational football, game on the line, he hasn't done a great job. Use the UCF games as examples. All of that stuff. So, that's all I'm saying, man. Hopefully, I'm actually, despite my criticism, I'm glad he's sticking around. And I think he may need 1 to 2 more years at Memphis. He's just ready. 2 more years of consistency. Consistent greatness. Not just media, consistent greatness. To be ready for that next step. Todd Harnett said isn't going to leave his QB White behind. Their relationship is very close. I think that's a good point. Clearly, him and Brady White have a close relationship going back to when he recruited him at Arizona State, which is why he brought him here in the first place to start over the previous quarterback that transferred, who's now at Central Michigan. So, they have a good relationship. And I think one of the things, too, as well as Brady White has been playing lately, he's not going to want to leave that ship, so to speak, because it makes Norvell look really good to see Brady's development, because he's going to credit it to Norvell, and that's just going to be another notch in Norvell's belt as far as a resume goes, because you all better believe now, all the excitement, all of the almost shed tears that Norvell, I saw his post-game press conference at the MU game. He was real emotional, man. Talk about how he loves Memphis, and I believe he does. And one of the main reasons he loves Memphis is because what Memphis is doing for him. And I don't blame him for that. I'm not saying it's wrong, but Memphis is doing him a huge plug, a huge public service. Look at what they did at game day. You, the Memphis fans. What you did at game day, showing up and showing out to that level. What you guys did, selling out the Liberty Bowl in front of a national audience. That was an advertisement for Mike Norvell. It was an advertisement for the university as well, but it was a big endorsement to Mike Norvell and for a program. That's what it was. It was a national advertisement, and you better believe all the teams that need coaches were looking at that commercial and saying, hey, this is impressive. Now we need to watch a little closer to see what we need to see about Mike Norvell in other areas. Plus, I heard there are other reasons why, people didn't want to touch him as much as they wanted to, but I'm definitely not going to get into that. Verdell says Freeze would be perfect for them, for Arkansas. Yeah, absolutely. Just look at Hugh Freeze. You just see a pig, meaning the Razorbacks. Verdell, put you on the hog and raise your blood pressure in Arkansas. It's a great point. Greg says it's not that he is too good. It's just the ceiling is low in the conference. I lie no chance at the college football playoff and national championship. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Memphis has to jump hoops just to even have the opportunity. And even now, as great as they've done this year, they still don't have an opportunity, realistically, to be in the playoff. So, we'll see what happens there. Let me look at some more of these comments here. Vale says, man, if all this negativity don't Tiger blood pump for Tuesday, LOL. Jeff Sanders says, so if Penny is a booster in perpetuity, which means forever, and boosters aren't allowed to recruit, isn't the entire team ineligible if he was involved in their recruiting? The absurdity of that is incredible. Agreed. Agreed 1,000%. And let's think about back to Penny again for a moment. This is another thing I want to. I'm glad you said that, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff Sanders. Back to my mind, back to my remembrance. So, brought up a little bit this morning. If Penny being a so-called booster, let's just say he is, right? Let's say that's an actual fact. And you can't recruit, you can't talk to recruits, you can't be involved in the process. Evidently, from what they say, you can't even be a coach. What about Patrick Ewing at Georgetown? You don't think he's giving any money to the university at any time? All these other players, former players, and alumni that have gone on to coach their respective teams, you cannot tell me they weren't boosters at one point, especially if they have any type of money and became the head coaches. So that's my thing. The NCAA, where I feel they're losing this situation with Wiseman, is the inconsistency of their logic. Any sense? When it wasn't the two other times the NCAA looked at the situation. What are they trying to prove? Had Dominic earlier was talking about, are they trying to be using intimidation tactics against Wiseman and Chase Young at Ohio State, who is projected to be the number one pick in the NFL draft? On the same day, both of them are ruled ineligible. Is the NCAA trying to prove some type of point that with all of these laws being passed about paying players and them using their likenesses, is the NCAA still trying to poke their fist out and say, hey, we still control you at the end of the day? Are they trying to yank the respective chains of these, so to speak, and say, hey, chill out, just like you would do with a dog, or even worse, a slave, right? You yank on his chain and say, hey, don't think you got too much pull or power because I still own you. Is that what they're doing? Because if that's what they're doing, it's not smart. Because it's having the opposite reaction nationwide. Wish I had the tweets up here to show you, but I know a lot of you have seen it. Think about Stephen A. Smith coming out. Guy who's the highest paid person at ESPN personality-wise. Coming out and talking about how much of a joke the NCAA is what they're doing to James Wiseman. How about LeBron James tweeting out against the NCAA and what they're doing to James Wiseman? LeBron James, the most influential athlete in the world. One of the most influential people in the world. Not to mention all the other countless recruits around the country. Future recruits could be coming to Memphis or other places out here tweeting out free James Wiseman. Big time players for other NCAA organizations tweeting out free James Wiseman. Trending on Twitter. People that have nothing to do with Memphis, the city of Memphis, the Memphis program, then are out here fighting for a kid they don't know because of the wrong that's being done by the NCAA. And the NCAA thinks they can win with this weak argument? Not to mention the fact that the Wiseman family got the toughest and most renowned legal team in the area to go up against the NCAA. So let's think about this now. I don't think things are as grim as we thought it was last Friday. Because I know everybody last Friday is like, oh man, I saw this all the time. I never liked this attitude. People say, oh, Memphis is cursed because of what happened with James Wiseman. If that is your reason for saying Memphis is cursed, you don't have any confidence in yourself or the city. Memphis is, if anything, if people want to say Memphis is cursed, it's because of having a mindset that you're cursed. You only curse if you think you are. I don't like to think that way. I like to think that stuff happens that is wrong, and that you can fight against it. Don't have a woe is me mentality. You don't think James Wiseman's having that mentality. He said, God got me. And I believe he does. I believe he's got him. He's got the University of Memphis. He's got his family. Because everybody involved has the right intentions. Nobody's done anything morally wrong. And if Penny Hardaway helping a family move from Nashville to Memphis is wrong, then I don't know what right is. And especially when he wasn't even the head coach of the University of Memphis when he did it. So let's put all that in perspective here. When you got these jerks like Fran Fraschilla out here talking about this is what Memphis gets and talking about Wichita State and programs like that as examples for how to do things. What are you even talking about? People like that are uninformed and uneducated about the situation, shooting their mouth off just to sound like they're smart when in reality they prove to be idiots. And one has to wonder, as I've said many times, when you talk about the Gary Parishes of the world, I really have a problem. It's just like when I spoke out strongly against him and those guys putting out the notion that Wiseman would be ineligible to the point where they went down to the university to confront people about what they heard. They're putting it out on the radio. That's not okay. Even though this happened to come out. Then I see an article by Gary Parrish of CBS that all of the things Memphis is doing wrong in this situation. Now, there's nothing wrong with being down the middle. I don't even mind if you're being critical of Memphis, because that's what you're supposed to do as a journalist and all of that stuff. But I didn't like the tone where it sounds like you almost are banking on Memphis losing this case. You got to wonder what the attitude comes from. Does the attitude come from not getting what you want? Just like he did with Tubby Smith. Didn't get what he wanted. Turned the fan base against him just for a personal vendetta. That's something me and we'll Talk Back Live never do. Never. It's never personal when it comes to those things, unless people make it personal. You know what I'm saying? But it's never personal when it comes to sports, and especially these kids, man. You got to really think about what's going on here. You know, you got to really think about it. And my question again, and maybe you can say a rule was broken. Can you legitimately say a rule was broken when he was not the coach of the team yet? Is the NCAA making assumptions that Penny knew that he would be a coach of the Memphis Tigers the next season and had the forward thinking to help Wiseman move multiple years before that situation happened so he can have the relationship to bring Wiseman to the University of Memphis? That's a huge assumption to make. Because at that point, Wiseman was most likely a Kentucky lean at that point. Kentucky and Calipari was recruiting Wiseman hard. And before Penny got here, there wasn't any thought about Wiseman even looking toward the University of Memphis. It was a pipe dream at that point that would even be an option. But things just happened to fall the way they did. So I think Memphis has a lot of legs to stand on when it comes to this NCAA and fight. And I'm looking forward to them using the avenues that they are to do so. Now, I'm going to say this before I go. And I say this for the end intentionally. Because this is a big statement to make. And in no means do I think this is the entire reason this is happening. But you are an absolute fool, in my opinion, if you do not think this played a role to some degree. Penny Hardaway is a strong, influential black man in the NCAA. That's a head coach. Not just a regular head coach of a team. He's influential. He's powerful. In the culture. His name recognition. He's the head of a franchise one of the highest selling shoes in Nike. He's a brand. And more than that, he's outspoken. He has doing things. He doesn't break the rules, but he doesn't kowtow to the so-called elite of college basketball society. He doesn't sit back and let the Blue Buds just leech off of Memphis and have this inferiority complex just because you're at the Memphis, that you can't get certain players like he got. How dare, this is how a lot of the folks think, I believe, at the NCAA. How dare Penny Hardaway be outspoken? How dare he take these recruits from a Duke or a Kentucky, just like DJ Jeffries had committed to Kentucky, decommitted, comes to Memphis. Like James Wiseman was leaning to go to Kentucky, decided to come to Memphis. How dare Penny Hardaway, as a black man, try to flex his muscle as a coach? We're not going to let this happen. Don't think that doesn't have something to do with it. I'm going to go to the phone lines before I go. And I'm glad.
Vincent.
I am glad he called back. Right on the money is my man Vincent. Vincent, welcome to the show. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I know I don't have much time. I tried to get in early, but I guess other people were calling in. But I know this has probably been beat. I'm going to put my little 2 cents in on it. Is this. The NCAA, they cleared him in May, then acknowledged the fact that they had made an error in their clearing, but decided they were going to rule based upon what they had already said. Then, unless they got some, from what I'm hearing, there is no really new information. I think the information centers around the $11,500, but supposedly that was acknowledged to them when they was doing the review of the case.
That's right.
In the first place.
That's right.
And so my thing, I think it boils down to, I think, on Tuesday night, they had the top 4 teams playing. You had Duke. You had whoever they were playing, but Kansas. I mean, well, it wasn't Duke and Kansas. It was Kentucky and Michigan State, Duke and Kansas, right? And then Memphis played on Tuesday night. Once they saw what Memphis was going to be with Wiseman playing, it looked like somebody came out and said, well, you know what? We need to kind of stop this train before we get moving. And also, I think, this is just maybe a wild theory, but I think the game day thing in football has something to do with this. See, it's like the NCAA, it's like a good old sports network where they want to keep the money within a certain circle. And when they saw the potential that we could become as a sports city with the football team and the basketball team being the number 1 recruiting class, they don't want Memphis to have that piece of the pie. It's like they want to have certain individuals making the money, because what makes absolutely no sense is you got several major schools and Power 5 programs who are right now under FBI investigation for all kind of stuff, and nobody's ineligible but James Wiseman. We're not under FBI investigation.
Nope.
And so I'm thinking, if they can get it tied into the course, now what may end up happening, you got the big shots. What may end up happening, it may get tied into the course. We may finish with an Elite 8 or a Final 4 appearance, and then they'll probably wipe it away like they did Derrick Rose situation. We have to prepare for that, but that won't take away the memory of a good season if we have a good season, because, at this point, they're making rules as they go, and you really don't know where that's going to end up. So, I mean, we have to prepare our minds and ours for what they're really all about. I don't know if it's a winning situation where we win clear cut with no punishment whatsoever. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I do think it would have been grossly unfair to keep James Wiseman from playing when if they knew that information back in May and approved him. Let's say, for instance, if they had said there was a problem back then he could have gone to another school and been clear and not have any issues with the University of Memphis. But see, that just lets me know it's a farce, and hopefully, what I'm hoping is that they don't come back and say, well, you got to sit out 10 games or else we're going to ban you from the tournament.
Yeah, see, that's why that's why I'm a little worried about, because that's, entirely possible. Because this has been a question that's been going around, right? Is some people feel, that Memphis shouldn't play Wiseman right now because whatever games he plays will be ruled ineligible whenever this thing goes down or whatever. How do you feel about that?
Well, the thing about that is this. If they play him and is ruled ineligible, we could probably take about, well, let me say this. I understand that the university asked them, well, what kind of penalty would we be, because they were willing to sit him out. What kind of penalty would we be facing? And they couldn't tell them.
Yep.
And so to be faced with that uncertainty, that didn't make sense to sit down, and they may let that thing, just like for an example, they haven't ruled on, what's the boy, Isaiah Stokes yet.
No, they still haven't.
Yeah. You would think that if something was given to you back in August, does it take 3 months to determine if you're going to give a transfer waiver or not? I mean, it's not like you got 30,000 cases that you got to go through. And so I'm saying, what would have said? What would have really been the issue as far as whether or not they were going to give them, hey, you're going to have to sit out 6 games. You're going to sit. I think that the penalty. Congruent to another case, I can't think what the name of the college. Some guy had a similar situation, and his penalty is like about 6 games. I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 or 6 games may be appropriate if you're going to say the rules were broken. The third and a half of the season. And see, at this point, I think they don't want Memphis to be in the top tier. And I think we're a tournament team without him. Mm-hmm. But we could be a Final Four national title contender with him,
yes.
And they don't want us to get to that level. And I think that's where this thing came up at. They saw, well, we're going to put an end to this train before we get moving. And that's my opinion on it. I could be wrong. It could be conspiracy theory, but that's what it seems like to me.
Oh, I think you're right on. And I know these are all opinions at this point, but they're based on a lot of facts, because what we're talking about is not just made up stuff. This is really looking at the situation for what it is, and making a conclusion. So yeah.
I tried to call you Friday when that first broke, but I guess you thought I was one of those insurance people calling. You didn't answer the phone after all.
Man.
He ain't answered the phone. He don't recognize my number. But anyway, all good.
Hey, but I appreciate the call today. Yes, sir.
And congratulations on the Titans. Congratulations on the Titans.
Yeah, man. Look, at first I was ready to fire the coach, but now I think, that's the boost we need to go to the Super Bowl, you know what I'm saying? So, maybe I'm a little delusional, but that's what I'm feeling right now.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you, man. All right. That's Vincent. I guess he does not believe what I said there. And of course I'm joking about Super Bowl, man. Look, I mean, there was some things in that Titans game that really ticked me off, including Taylor Lewan, number 77. Almost ready to cut him at this point with all these penalties. But that's neither here nor there. Also, shout out to the Cowboys that did lose this weekend as well in hilarious fashion. Even though it was a close game, you guys may have a worse. I was willing to trade Jason Garrett, your head coach, for ours, but after watching that management, I just don't know if I could do that now. And that's saying something. But nonetheless, man, like I said, and I'm standing by this, I do not think if Penny Hardaway were a white head coach, and maybe if it was a different with the majority black city and things of that nature, all of this attention would not be paid to the situation. Because, last thing I'm going to say, because I know I got to get out of here. Just like Vincent brought up, right? Look at all these teams on the FBI. Whatever happened to LSU? Whatever happened to all that? Wiretaps, recordings by the FBI, things of that nature, payments, records, all this stuff. What happened to that? Nothing? Nothing's coming to that anymore? Whatever happened to all these other schools? Look how long they waited to do anything with the Louisvilles of the world. Or North Carolina, proven to be changing grades under Roy Williams and cheating for those kids in school. Nothing's happened. Roy Williams is still down there dancing with those light blue Nike shoes, doing the shuffle that all black folks do at family reunions. He was doing that at their madness down there the other day. Nobody seems to care. He's got Cole Anthony. No telling what they did to get him down there. But Memphis, because Penny, before he was a head coach, paid to help Wiseman and his family come to Memphis, where they were moving to,
because Penny paid $1 million for the Hall of Fame, the Penny Hardaway Hall of Fame on the University of Memphis campus, which was really not a donation to the athletic department, which technically does not make it a booster, does not make him a booster, at least in my opinion. Because of that, they act this quickly? That's bogus. And you cannot tell me there's not a smidgen of a racial connotation to that. I know other folks in media are scared to talk about that, but I'm not. So if we're going to keep it real, let's keep it all the way real. Let's keep it all the way real. And you would agree, Ballin, the attorney, which nobody other than Doc Holliday, who let me know that he did on Twitter the other day, other than Doc Holliday, who happens to be the only real black sports reporter in the city other than Jarvis Greer, was the only one that actually reported on Leslie Ballin saying that in his press conference, and I saw it for myself. Leslie Ballin said, as a white attorney in Memphis, said he guarantees if Penny Hardaway was not black, this situation wouldn't be going on. If James Wiseman was an African-American young man, this situation wouldn't be happening. So let's not run from these things when they happen. Let's confront it head on together and attack it. So hopefully that's what's going to happen, man. And I still think, despite all of that, things are going to work out for the best for the University of Memphis and for Penny Hardaway, and most importantly, for the young man, James Wiseman. So, guys, that's going to do it for me on today's edition of Talk Back Live Sports. I definitely appreciate y'all for tuning in, for watching, for listening on the Spreaker app. You can also catch the audio version on podcasts, the audio podcast version online. You can download Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Google Podcasts. On all of those platforms, you can listen to this podcast and all of the great shows on there. Just search Talk Back Live. One word, Talk Back Live. And you can listen to us there. Also, you can hear us live on every program on the Spreaker app. Spreaker. That's, and you can hear me live there on the audio. On the catch us on Facebook Live after that as well. So that's gonna do it for me, guys, on today. But I will be back. Some people saying don't leave. I will be back tomorrow, same time, 2 to 3 p.m. right here on Talkback Live Network. So that's gonna do it for me, guys, and I will talk to you guys next time.
This is Sergeant Chris Richardson of the Tennessee Highway Patrol here to explain the Tennessee Hands-Free Law, which is a new state law effective July 1st, 2019. In Public Chapter 412, it makes it illegal for a driver to hold a cell phone or a mobile device with any part of their body, to write, send, or read any text-based communication, to reach for a cell phone or a mobile device in a manner that requires the driver to no longer be in a seated driving position or properly restrained by a seatbelt, to watch a video or a movie on a cell phone or a mobile device, and to record or broadcast video on a cell phone or a mobile device. So, can I still talk on my cell phone while driving? Yes. A driver is permitted to use an earpiece, headphone device, or device worn on a wrist to conduct a voice-based communication. The driver may use one button on a cell phone or a mobile device to initiate or terminate voice communication, and voice-based communication may also be used to send a text message. Learn more at handsfreetn.com.
CJU's Appliances, located at 3530 Jackson Avenue here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-487 7882. CJU supplies at best prices in town. Sales and service, heating and air. Also the best appliances you'll find anywhere in the Mid-South. Refrigerators, microwave stoves, washers and dryers, deep freezers, dishwashers, whatever you need in used appliances. And folks will tell you they're the best used appliances anywhere you'll find. That's CJU Appliances, 3530 Jackson Avenue. All appliances come with warranty. You can call them at 901-487-7882. Again, 901-487-7882. CJU Appliances.
Big Graphic Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all: color copy, resume, funeral program, rubber stamp, full color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30 plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. Big Graphic Printing.
This is Sergeant Chris Richardson with Tennessee Highway Patrol. Pedestrian safety is a two-way street. Both drivers and walkers need to do their part to keep roads safe. When you're walking, remember, the drivers may not always see you, so remember to use these tips to continue to walk safely. Wear bright clothes. Always use crosswalks and delay signs. Lights and reflectors should be used. And finally, keep alert and do not walk distracted. This message is brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Patrol.
C&S Motors Auto Sales, located at 2508 Southern Avenue, here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-323-8778. C&S Motors Auto Sales has been around since 1984. Go by and see Chris today. Some of the best pre-owned and used vehicles in the city. They have SUVs, minivans, cars, trucks, whatever you're looking for in pre-owned used vehicles. Hey, you can find it right there at C&S Motors Auto Sales. See Chris since 1984. They will treat you right. Call them at 901-323-8778. That's 901-323-8778. 2508 Summer Avenue, C&S Motors Auto Sales.